I don't remember what fucking happened a year ago.
Me neither.
Oh shit, sorry.
No, don't apologize at all. And great minds think alike.
I think that the worst piece of advice is follow your passion.
Welcome to the Media Jungle. I'm your host, Alex Ragir, coming to you every week to break down the news facing the media industry. We have Mr. Digital Media himself and former president of Digiday, Brian Morrissey, is here, founder of the Rebooting newsletter. And of course, the smartest man on Instagram, former executive producer of CBS, Bloomberg, you name it, Mosheh Oinounou is in the house, president of Mo Digital. Thanks for tuning in. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for exclusive updates and find the audio version wherever you podcast. Thanks for watching. For the audience members out there, I wanted to just ask a few questions that might help them grow in their career. If you were a young media professional right now, what would be kind of your advice navigating this media jungle?
I think that the worst piece of advice is follow your passion, because that's what your hobbies are for. But you should find an area that you're curious about and want to learn more about. And you should match it up to areas that are growing really fast and find one that there's a match. Because if what you're super interested in, the rest of the world isn't that interested in, it's going to be really hard for you. So I think you should make it easier for yourself and specialize in an up and coming area. I mean, there's tons of them out there. You look at what's going on, on the business side with what's going on in climate change. That's a great area to specialize in. The creator economy is exploding. It doesn't have to be trendy areas. And when they're more complicated areas, that they're going to be better for you. You'll get paid more. You'll have a lot sturdier career. So I would say do that versus follow your passion.
Or find what gets you excited and lights you up within that sector.
But there has to be a true need for it. It has to be an underserved area. At least that's the way I sort of approach things, because if you're a generalist these days, it's really hard. You got to be the top of the top, because that's just there's just so much competition, because media is a classic profession where there are a few winners and stuff like this, but there's a whole bunch of other people that just get washed out of it.
I agree with everything that Brian just said there. One thing I would say to anyone looking for a career in media is get a command to the extent possible of as many platforms as possible. And, all of the kind of new platforms, and we have spent our careers over the past, several decades trying to keep up with all the platforms, and it only keeps speeding up. But having command for storytelling and content when it comes to TikTok, to Snap, to Twitter, even if it's not your favorite, but just having an understanding for what works on those platforms, I think is important, because ultimately, if you're looking to be a content creator or work for a content creator, you need to be looking at to distributing your content on as many platforms as possible.
That's a great point, because I've always think that there's always a need for translators, right? And if you can play that translation role and translating, say, from the editorial side to the business side, or the editorial side and the business side to the technology side, Product. Product was a group that barely existed at most publishers a decade ago. And now it's arguably one of the most important areas of a media company.
Sorry, that was going to be my second piece of advice, which is...
shit, sorry.
No, don't apologize at all. And great minds think alike. We grew up in an era of media where there was this wall between editorial and business. That wall does not exist in its previous form. And so whether you're interested in the business side, you need to understand the content. But more importantly, for all of these kind of aspiring journalists, content creators, et cetera, you got to understand the business of what we're doing and what potentially sells. Not to do anything unethical by any means, but just to have an understanding for as you think about what you're doing, what you're building, who you're working for, where is there potential revenue there. And I think a lot of media companies struggled with that and kicked that can down the road for a very long time until it was too late. And so having that understanding that, when you work at a media entity, it needs to have a business side to it. It needs to have potential revenue is key, regardless of what role you enter in.
And I think it's important to understand that it doesn't have to be unethical, but at the same time, if you do go in an unethical direction, you're more likely to be successful if you understand the business side. Because the worst would be if you decide to go and do unethical shit and it doesn't work.
It doesn't make you any money.
Yeah, that would
gambling.
Be the worst.
If you become an online gambling crypto schemer, you might gotta.
You gotta learn enough.
You gotta ride the line. You gotta ride the line. It's like it's like thepointsguy.com and websites like that. Like, how do you ride the line between taking money from the people you cover and
you don't want to do anything you feel bad about doing, but there is that element of sometimes you have to just take a job that may not be like Moshe mentioned. You may not be so into TikTok, but you are trying to get into it. People like us don't really understand it in an innate way like a lot of the younger people do. So if you just kind of pay a bit more attention, say you can do it, you can actually get that foot in the door and then progress, because people really if you're good to work with and if you really are creative and you're in it for the right reasons, usually people will move you around and help you figure out where your best place is, but you have to kind of fit in a place where it's really needed right now.
Yeah, it would actually be a good story to go back and examine the career arcs of the social media managers, right? Because they were a role that never existed, and then they came in, and it was a classic one. You bring in someone super junior, pay them very little, give them very little support, and really just kind of look down on them a little bit as, not really part of the newsroom and stuff like this. But to see where a lot of them did progress, and a lot of them did wash out because that's just the nature of the field. But a lot of them, for instance, a lot of people went into the product group and are playing really important roles in shaping, the future of these sustainable media businesses.
Yeah, I watched over a decade at CBS our social media people go from extremities of the newsroom to the center of the newsroom. Yeah.
And a little bit of a counterpoint to the "don't follow your passion" mantra is, when I was out of college, I was obsessed with this concept of one-man band video journalism, right? I had the laptop and digital video was completely new. And so I was out there doing video journalism for the alternative to the alternative newspaper of Milwaukee, my hometown. And I finished the video. I sent it to my editor. She's like, "Where are we going to put this?" I'm like, "On your website." And she uploaded it. It had a little place where you could upload a video, and it came out 1 inch square. So I was ahead of my time on this cutting edge, and I applied to 50 different newspapers across the country. I sent actual clips in the mail to them.
VHS or?
No, actual written clips, and then I sent CDs. Yeah, and I sent CDs, and everyone was like, "Yeah, we would love to hire you in 5 years." So that, Moshe, is how I had to pivot and be like, "All right, I'm going to get into financial journalism. I'm going to cover the stock market." I was renegade guerrilla video journalist. Wow. I was not stock market, but got that job, took me everywhere. I learned so much, and you get with the right company, and it can really take you and grow you in your career.
I think it's an important point to stay plugged into where the business is, because when I was in college, I wanted to go write for the Atlantic Monthly and be James Fallows, right? And already, incidentally, when I was in college, was peak journalism. You already saw Craigslist crushing into classified ads, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know about this newspaper thing." And so that led me to I should get a TV internship and see if TV is for me. At least I feel like TV has more longevity. Now, by the way, broadcast and cable television is another story, but 20 years ago, broadcast and cable television still had time left. And so that's what led me to pivot. I like storytelling and I like journalism, but let me go do it at a place where I feel like there's growth, there's opportunity, and salary is still, are growing.
And being agile, like you can't be like, I'm a writer, like I'm a video. Like I was like, I like video just because I prefer watching video, making video. It's easier for me the way I learn, whatever. But I went into writing because I'm like, it's all about writing. And that's one thing I read that really took me a long way. I don't know where I read it, but it said something like, just start writing, because whatever you do, you could get a job in TV, you could get a job in documentary, you could get a job in radio. Now writing is really you could be a social media manager. You could get applied to Mosheh's newsletter editor job right now. Shout out. But if you're writing and you figure out that storytelling, and that can translate into any medium, that can translate into TikTok, it can translate into anything. Brian, really quick, could you talk a little bit more about what you meant by people focusing on the product side of media companies?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think Moshe mentioned it earlier. Media companies are part technology companies. Every company is part media company. And so product is like a tremendous growth area because it really connects everything together. It connects the content, it connects the sales, it connects the technology. And these groups typically sit independently, and they need someone to connect the all sides of it. And that's why product has become, a really important function, particularly as subscriptions grow. A lot of times subscriptions and memberships programs are housed within the product unit. And it's just a critical role of developing a habit with the audience.
And it goes back to Moshe's point of connecting the business side. Product is the connection of the business side oftentimes with the creative. So
Connective tissue.
Amazing. Thanks so much for taking the time. Happy holidays. Happy 2022. Yes. Happy New Year.
I like the special edition on career advice. That's good.
Thinking about the year in the past is a tough one. I bet Brian has it like.
No, I don't. I don't remember what fucking happened a year ago.
Me neither. Thanks for tuning in. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for exclusive updates, and find the audio version wherever you podcast. Thanks for watching.